What's up, guys, and welcome back. Today we are back on the Tacoma trying to get our brake lines and our clutch line knocked out. We're super close to getting this thing back on the road. I cannot wait. If we have time, I'd like to get a few other things done today, but that is going to be the #1 priority today, is getting our brake lines run, getting our clutch line run, and making sure those all feel good, making sure the brakes work, make sure the clutch operates as it should. So without further ado, let's get into it. All right, so first things first, let's go ahead and get our master cylinder installed, and then we'll get the truck jacked up, get the wheels off of it, and start running our brake lines. All right, so just a tip here. Anytime you're running brake line, I always recommend this stuff. It's like a NiCop. It has like a nickel copper compound. It's really, really pliable, bends really nice and easy, but most importantly, it doesn't rust. I love this stuff. It's a little expensive. It's a little more expensive than steel, but bends way more easier to work with. So highly recommend this stuff. Another tip, if you're ever running brake lines, making flares, is this tool. This is made by Master Cool. It's a hydraulic flaring tool. This thing comes with a bunch of different adapters. You have your double flare adapters from 3/16 all the way up to 3/8, or I'm sorry, I think the double flare all the way up from 3/16 to 3/8. GM push connect fittings, 1/2 inch, 5/16, and 3/8, and then you have your push connect forming dies and all your bubble flare dies. This thing's really come down in price. I think when I first bought this thing probably 10 years ago, it was like $500, but I believe these have come down significantly in price. So I'll go ahead and put a link in the description for this tool along with this brake line. I think you can get them both on Amazon. So I will go ahead and put the link in the description for these. All right, so we got the brake lines ran, and I wanted to run our clutch line and then just go ahead and bleed them both together. But I actually, turns out I bought the wrong adapter for our T56 slave cylinder. This adapter actually goes into the slave cylinder itself. So in order to put this adapter in, you actually have to pull the transmission and pull that whole piece out. There's like a dowel pin you pop out, and then you put this piece in. There is another adapter that I believe Earl's Performance, I think it is, that makes an adapter that goes into the... They make an adapter that goes into that piece, that little brass looking piece, and then I'll just run, it goes from that piece to a 4AN, and then I'll run that 4AN line up to this little holder here, and then I'll get another adapter and then adapt that down to just a regular brake line, and then I'll run that up to my clutch master cylinder. So I ordered that up, so that should be here this week. So I'll be able to get my clutch line finished up either this week or next weekend. So what we're gonna do right now is we're gonna get the brake lines bled, and then I'm going to fix our shifter issue. If you remember in the, I think it was the last video, or maybe the video before that, I realized that the tip of the drive shaft, the part of the yoke on the drive shaft was actually hitting that little adapter. And so what we need to do, what I actually did was I flipped it around. So now we need to build make an aluminum spacer to kind of space the shifter up from these mounting locations. So I bought a piece of aluminum stock. I just need to cut that down, figure out how big I need to make it, cut it down, and drill holes, and then I can then space that out, and then we should be good to go. Alright, so here's where we're at. I bought this aluminum stock. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna measure, I believe it looks like about 2 inches should be perfect. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut this to 2 inches. And honestly, I think I only need, I'll cut a 2-inch piece and then I'll cut it down the middle, and that should be enough to kind of space that gap between where the shifter sits on the transmission. And then we'll just drill a hole through it and run 2 bolts through it, and then we should be good to go. Alright guys, so we got our shifter installed. We got the blocks in there that are spacing out our shifter assembly. But one thing that I did not think of, and I guess it's easily overlooked, I don't know, but whenever I flipped this piece around, what I did was I basically flipped my gearing around. So if you think about, okay, so if you move the shift rod to the left, like you were going into first gear, the bottom of it's going to push that way, which is going to spin the rod clockwise. If I flip it underneath where it originally is, when I do the same thing, it's going to make that rod spin counterclockwise. So basically what I have done is now first and second gear are all the way to the right. So first would be over to the right and up, second gear would be straight down from that. And then you'd have third and fourth, then fifth and sixth would be all the way, you know, to the left, and then all the way past that to the left and down would be reverse. So I don't know of a way that I could really resolve that. I honestly might just live with it like that. It'll be a little bit weird driving it at first, but I think I'll get used to it. But it seems to shift. I mean, it shifts fine. All that I've done is I've shifted the pattern. The problem is, if you look how close the drive shaft is, I don't know if there would be a way. I would have to make a custom piece to be underneath, but it can't hang down very far. And then if it doesn't hang down very far, I don't really have the leverage to spin that shaft, so I don't know how well it would shift. It might really affect the way that it shifts. So I guess I guess this would be the one downfall to having the CD09, whereas the T56, has the shifter coming out from up top, which you can actually, so that's the other thing with this transmission. There is actually a way, because there is a plate up top, kind of like on the T56, there is a way to move the shifter location to the top of the transmission, but you have to do some cutting and stuff like that, which I didn't want to do. So we're probably gonna just roll with it like it is and just see how it is. It might just be, it might shift, everything. I think everything will be the same aside from the shift pattern being flipped, which, honestly I can live with. I'll get used to it. But yeah, I just thought it was kind of funny because when I went to move the truck, I just kind of moved it in the garage. I was thrown off, but then after I thought about it, it made perfect sense, and I just it never crossed my mind that when I flipped that piece around, I would be, switching the way that I'm spinning that shaft. So I just thought it was kind of funny, but we'll live with it for now, and we'll see how it does. Alright guys, so I think that's going to be it for today. Once again, thank you for watching. Thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing, and we will catch you next time. Peace!